It's that time of the week when we go out to the other coast of the United States, out to Hollywood, California, and check in on Michael Snyder. By living in Hollywood, he's so much closer to the movies than we are. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Alex, and boy, that's a mixed blessing. But we've got some good films, interesting films to review this week. Let's start with Joker. Joker is a gritty, standalone origin movie about one of the most memorable villains in comic book history that draws on some of the various interpretations of the character to create a psychological crime drama that's more Taxi Driver crossed with King of Comedy than The Dark Knight. If I'm not mistaken, Bob Kane and Bill Finger, creators of Batman, were inspired by the silent horror movie The Man Who Laughs when they created the Joker in the early 40s as Batman's arch adversary. The so-called Clown Prince of Crime is still the most high-profile villain in Batman's rogues gallery, a damaged, violent, cackling madman with chalk-white skin and green hair from a chemical accident. A murderous lunatic fixated on Batman and dedicated to hurting Gotham City's caped crusader. I mean, we've seen the Joker in a bunch of different incarnations. On TV, portrayed by Cesar Romero. In the movies, famously played by Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger. And there's the animated version voiced by Mark Hamill, who might be my favorite. And all of them have been defined by their conflict with Batman. But the Joker in Todd Phillips' new movie is set in a pre-Batman world of the 1980s. And yeah, that's Todd Phillips, the director of the lowbrow comedy The Hangover and other similar films. Here he tries to get a little more highbrow with his reinterpretation of the character by making the Joker's descent into criminal behavior real-world believable instead of comic book fantastical. Played by Joaquin Phoenix in thoroughly tragic fashion, Arthur is a put-upon party clown and a sadly clumsy wannabe stand-up comedian who suffers from what I'd have to call inappropriate laughter syndrome. Arthur lives in a dingy walk-up with his infirm mom, who claims that her wealthy ex-employer, Thomas Wayne, will soon respond to her letters asking for him to save her son and her from their impoverished existence. And yeah, Bat fans, that's Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's father. But here Bruce is a child, I presume, who's years from becoming a costume crime fighter dressed as a bat. In this continuity, there might never be a Batman or, In any case, this is Gotham City, where the have-nots are getting increasingly pissed off at the haves, where social service cutbacks are going to leave misfits and social outcasts without a safety net. There's a kind neighbor played by Zazie Beetz who takes an interest in Arthur, and then a late-night TV host played by Robert De Niro, the De Niro from Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. He sees a video of Arthur's stand-up set, lampoons it on the air, and invites Arthur to appear on an episode of the show. One thing leads to another, which, as you might suspect, leads to the Joker. As I've suggested, this is unapologetically derivative of other similarly themed movies. Still, the message about an uncaring society making monsters out of the abandoned and downtrodden is a timely one, and Phoenix gives a powerful performance that makes you feel sorry for the Joker, which is a first for me. If you like this kind of thing, get on board. The script is not great, but I thought the Joker was worth my time, if only for Phoenix's bravura performance. Okay, let's move on to something else. Lucy in the Sky. Now, Lucy in the Sky reminded me of a story about the female astronaut who became romantically fixated on a colleague, and when he brushed her off, she hounded him to the point of driving all night from, I believe, Houston to Florida in order to confront him, and purportedly wore adult diapers so she wouldn't have to make any rest stops. She was in a big hurry. Lucy in the Sky is a movie inspired by that woman's seeming mental break, starring Natalie Portman as the astronaut, here named Lucy Cola, John Hamm as a suave NASA pilot and the object of Lucy's ardor, Dan Stevens from the TV shows Legion and Downton Abbey as Lucy's husband, again Zazie Beetz, busy weekend, playing another NASA astronaut caught up in Lucy's issues, and Ellen Burstyn as Lucy's salty Nana. The movie is all over the place, despite the provocative source material and gung-ho performances, especially from Portman. who I didn't really buy as an unhinged astronaut. She was good, but I couldn't see her as an astronaut, but maybe that's me. Speaking of Legion, which was so trippy and good, Lucy in the Sky was directed by Noah Hawley, who created and wrote Legion, which, by the way, starred Stevens as a mutant with psychological problems, and he also was responsible for the TV series Fargo. This is not in their rarefied league. Let's wrap things up with Pain and Glory. I love a lot of Pedro Almodovar's films, and this might be as close to a genuine autobiography as the critically lauded Spanish filmmaker has made to date, mixing his memories of romantic and carnal love and his working-class childhood with his passion for cinema. Antonio Banderas is cast as Salvador Malo, the lightly fictionalized stand-in for Almodovar. Malo is a director dealing with physical and emotional problems. His back is ruining him, and these things have taken a toll on his ability to make movies. And besides a piercing performance by Banderas, the other face familiar to movie fans would be Penelope Cruz, who's letter perfect as Malo's mother in flashbacks. This is certainly reminiscent of Fellini's 8.5, in its depiction of a director in crisis, plagued by memories and unfinished business. But for all its passion, it still felt like a minor work from Almodovar, whose best movies have a sort of careening energy and wit about them. This kind of moves deliberately. Still, Pain and Glory is heartfelt work from one of the great modern directors. What are you watching, pal?
Nothing.
Nada?
Got nothing. Nothing for you. So, nothing to report.
Okay.
Anyway, tell them where they can find you, Michael.
I am on Twitter at Culture Blaster and on Facebook at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page and happily on GABNet.
And we will continue with more GABNet. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye, Michael. For those listening 24/7, well, stick around. There's more coming right up. And if you want to see Michael on GABNet.net, go over to the left-hand side of the page, and he's there on demand.